And look at this on a Thursday. We got two studs in here, and then there's Dale, Lou.
Yeah,
right
you
here
got
is
the
what
two
we got.
studs over there. And
Uncle Lou joins us on Thursdays. Of course, you can catch him gamblu.com. He'll talk about that in just a minute. And then, of course, you've got you can catch him as a contributor there on the VSIN network as well on a bunch of shows over there, folks. Uncle Lou, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing great, and it's always a treat to be able to come in and not only share with you, but when we have Dale here as well, it always adds color, and I'm looking forward to a fun show.
What kind of color are we talking about? The red color there? So no, appreciate it. How was your week been and everything?
Week's been great. It's thankfully there's a UFC fight card this week, guys, because otherwise I don't know.
I was going to ask you. So obviously, a little bit like me, you blow and go in the fall because there's UFC, there's football that you're really into and studying, and then also football ends and it comes to a screeching halt. But I know,
love it.
Are you NHL regular hockey guy, or is it only postseason that you get involved? And then obviously you're probably looking forward to baseball and all that. But your schedule right now is a little slower than it usually
Well,
is.
it really, I have it set up pretty well, Dale, because, the grind is UFC and football and my football's only NFL. So that's a grind. And then the Super Bowl hits, and it's like, the guy laying on the hammock drinking a cocktail.
Right.
But I start to pick up hockey. I don't bet any regular season hockey, but I'm looking at it now. I'm starting to formulate ideas. And the biggest idea I have is that there's a bunch of teams that have 7-8 players in the Olympics. Mm-hmm. And so when those kids come back to their teams, that's going to affect those teams. The fatigue's going to set in when the playoffs come. I want to know who has a lot of players in, like Colorado has 8 players in the Olympics. Colorado right now, going into the break, so strong, there's no way to bet them. You got to find who's going to beat them. So that's my chore, is to find out who in the West can compete with Colorado. In the East, I've made a couple positions on the webpage. Doggone it, I meant to get today's blog up before I came here. I still have
afterwards. It'll be up. Yes.
I have last week's future positions.
Well, I'd say you have future positions. The lines have changed, but you at least can still see the future positions.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So it's really a lot of. I'm looking at hockey. I'm working the UFC. I'm totally in. I'm doing World Baseball Classic. I'm cross-eyed Mary on the World Baseball Classic.
Oh, okay.
Love that event.
That's coming up in what, a month?
I've got a couple soccer guys that I'm going to be listening to as far as making a World Cup bet or two. I have some Olympic wagers. I have Norway to have the most gold medals, and right now they're looking good. I have a parlay bet. The U.S. women and the Canadian men to each win a gold medal, and I got a good plus price on that. And I think that I'm potentially in play there. It's the Canadian men that I have more question about, because the U.S. women are going to beat Canada today.
Well, we all think that, except for one guy yesterday floated out that this will be the game they lose, and put that on Tuesday, put that number jumbo out there. So I'm a little worried about it now, and I wasn't before.
Well,
right?
I don't know who the guy is, but I'll tell you.
Bruce Cooper is the one that did that.
Don't worry.
Men played yesterday, of course, in the qualifying round, as they're trying to get to that gold medal game coming up for them as well. But you alluded to it, right, with your blog, so tell everybody where they can go and find you and everything. And make sure you mention Sneak Teep Podcast is up this week as well.
Yeah, no, I am. My single point of contact is gamblu.com. I'm a sports investor. And so I don't bet to bet, I bet to win. And I only shoot with a rifle, not a shotgun. And what that means is there's only a few certain select sports I work, and you can find those sports on the top of the Gamblu webpage on the band there. And it tells you all about me. You can find testimonials, everything you want to know. And if you spend 5 minutes, you probably spent too much on it. What I would tell you to do when you go to the webpage is read daily blogs. That gives you great insight. But also, we support the oldest mission in the United States, the San Xavier mission. That's on the top band of the Gamblu webpage. and we'll get to that shortly. But there we go. Kobe's just perfect with that. The San Xavier mission, the oldest mission in the country, the oldest mission in Arizona. We're big supporters of it. Steve lets me talk about it every week. We route profits towards the San Xavier mission a couple, 3 times a year. Don't have to work through us to do it because I'm no longer receiving any funds for my positions. Everything is free. So there's a link to the San Xavier mission on the webpage. And I thank Steve for letting me mention that each week.
Absolutely. And speaking of that, right, obviously got to keep that in everybody's thoughts here because you still donate on your own, but you don't have on there. So everybody follow you at Gamblu also on X because you put out positions, you talk about stuff out there and things to that effect. So everybody give you a follow there for those needs and make you look smart around the office, most important.
Yeah, well, sometimes if I'm winning, it's great. It comes easy. When you're losing, you can't find your own rear end with 2 hands and a guide. So sometimes it's tough. But at the end of the day, it's all about profit. I post positions free on Twitter, and what I did, and I make no qualms about it, for the first 2 years of the Gamblu webpage, I had to borrow some money from my wife to finance the Gamblu webpage. And so I took subscriptions for 2 years to pay for that. It's paid for. My webpage now is up and running and functioning, and I offer my services for free. So I mean, it's funny. I had a couple of good weeks in the UFC, and then I let a stinker out, like 0 for 4 a couple weeks back. And I had some young clown on the, holy cow, when's this? Are you going to ever win? I was like, where were you the last 2 weeks, man? I mean, it's so funny how the vitriol can go when you stub your toe once. It's not an easy game to be in because if you're truthful, I mean, so far this year, I'm 5-7, up a half a unit in the UFC. 5-7, how can you be up a half a unit? And then believe me, if you follow, you can be up too. But at the end of the day, like in the NFL, I had a great year this year, 54.5%, 55%. Well, that means that 45% of the time I'm incorrect.
Right.
You better live with it.
And so a word to the wise is don't just come in 1 week and bet your bets if you're going to follow your advice. You got to stick with you for a while.
The
correct?
wise man would say that,
Yeah.
yes. I'm not feeding my family off subscriptions. So I'm not trying to suck you in to buy money and buy a year's subscription but whether it's me or another handicapper that you see on this network or that, and you seem to trust the guy or the guy seems like he's worth his weight in salt, give the guy a month or two and see what you think, and you don't even have to bet him. Just see what he says, track it.
Right.
It's not that difficult.
Good old social media.
Social media.
It gives those keyboard warriors a little bit of an outlet, and we've had a little fun the last couple of days on X or Twitter, whatever you refer to, and I saw where you Puka Nakua is living his best life.
Well, you know what? Hey, he's a handsome young kid. He's a pro athlete. He's got money in his pocket.
Yeah.
He can travel. Yeah. He's also in a position to be selective.
Yes.
And maybe sometimes maybe not so selective.
Volume
doesn't hurt a guy either.
And so there's a picture of Puka and his maybe girlfriend, maybe not, whatever.
Yeah.
And then Lou and I got going a little bit, and when we were that age, there's no social media. So thank goodness there's no tracks or record of what went on.
In 2002, I was in the real estate business in Omaha, and they sent me to L.A. I was working with a big national real estate. I don't mind saying them, but I don't need to.
Okay.
Big, huge corporate real estate powerhouse. And we went to this big, huge seminar thing with young brokers from all over the country. There were probably 50 of us at this thing. And towards the end of the 4-day experience, we're all sitting around one night after all the work was done and before dinner, and there was like a hot tub and a pool, and everybody was hanging around. We were, talking and commiserating. There was more than just this going on, I'll say that. And so at one point in time, There was a kid over here from San Francisco on the other end of the pool, and he had this portable camera. He had this disposable camera, and he's snapping shots, and he's got me in a couple shots that if someone saw would.
I'm Googling it now.
You'd have some explaining to do.
I was in a compromising position. So they were in the hot tub, and they all go run into the swimming pool.
Yeah.
And old Uncle Louie just wallowed right over there and kicked that phone right in the hot tub. And when he got back, saw that thing floating around there, I was the only one there, and he looked at me. He was so hot. And I just told him about Uncle Louie don't deal with no evidence.
No.
Ain't no evidence when you're dealing with Uncle Louie. Sorry. He's like, I had all my pictures from all my. Sorry.
Yeah. Oops. My bad.
So that's what I think of social media.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lessons to be learned on that story right there.
From old wise men.
So it's obviously Olympic hockey going on. You know, you talked last week about your futures on the NFL, but college baseball's obviously started here as well. ASU's 4-0. I just want to point that out, Lou, for no particular reason. 4-0.
Good for them. Hey.
No, I'm just going to say Arizona's 0-4. I just wanted no particular reason. No particular reason.
Oh, no problem. I would I bet you a handshake at the end of the season that ASU's not within 4 games.
No, I'm not sold on their pitching staff yet. What we're dealing with there. But UCLA is still number one. They're actually 2-1 on the season. On that. So do you watch college baseball now, or you just look at it
too early
as you get on the side? Exactly.
Too early. I'm going to let them be for a little while. Once we get to where they start conference play, I'll look at the series each team's playing, especially in the SEC, because those are competitive series. UCLA is not going to have a lot of competitive series.
That's the problem, right?
That's
especially early.
The issue with them, but they were there last year. They got good pitching. They're one of the future positions that I released it. I think 25 or 30 to 1. You'll have to look at the webpage, but it's just too early. But each year I start it earlier and earlier, and I enjoy it more and more. These kids are fit. They play for pride. They hustle every play. There ain't no attitude like in the Major League Baseball, and so for that reason, I think college baseball is only going to continue to grow.
I got a question about that. So obviously in years past, basically you throw a dart at an SEC team and it has a chance of going to the College World Series. Yeah. With UCLA, USC, and Oregon and whatever going in the Big Ten, has the Big Ten become a little bit more of a player when it comes to going deep into the playoffs in college baseball?
That's a great question, and they have. And the reason they have, not necessarily Oregon or Oregon State, but UCLA and USC, if you want to be a baseball player and you want to be on a college baseball team, just find out where Mason-Dixon is and go somewhere south.
Right.
Okay, because UCLA, they're playing baseball year-round outside. Might be brisk or cold, might lose a day to some rain. But believe me, in Boston College and in Rutgers and in Michigan, they're playing in gyms, and it's dynamically different. And last year, the SEC really underperformed huge in the College World Series and in the NCAA baseball playoffs overall. And a lot of the younger handicappers are, oh man, give me Coastal Carolina, give me this team, give me that team, and they're washed up. I'm heavy on SEC teams with my futures again this year.
One other question: Big 12. How does the Big 12 stack up, baseball-wise?
I mean, they have good, solid teams, but they're all north of Mason-Dixon, Dale. I mean, again, Nebraska makes waves, and they do well until they get to regional action, and then they ship them to Texas Tech or Texas A&M or Georgia or Mississippi State, and then it gets tough. Oak State, good, solid baseball program coming back. They are south of Mason-Dixon, so that's a team you can consider, but you figure out who's south, baby.
Okay. That's interesting.
Really quick, just to clarify, this is last week's odds, so the numbers have changed, but UCLA 12-1 is what you had released last week.
Okay, so
Oregon State was the 30-1.
Oregon State, and don't overlook Oregon State. That's a program.
Yeah, 2-1 to start the season for Oregon State as well. Both of them lost in their final game of their opening series to get that one loss and everything.
Yeah,
to that effect,
I mean,
I know, it doesn't matter. But.
I don't want a team. A couple of years ago, Tennessee was like with one or two Yeah, I don't want a team undefeated. What's happening to the Cats in basketball right now is the absolute best thing. And Houston's gonna slap them around, and it's the best thing could happen for two reasons. Number one, if you're looking to bet the Cats, you couldn't bet them before the Kansas loss of 10 days ago because the odds were stupid. Now they're losing a few games. Everybody's questioning them. And they should be questioned, but the odds are going to get better. I took them to get to the Final Four. Okay. That's as much confidence as I'll ever have in U of A basketball. Why? Because they get beat by the Sisters of the Poor every year when they go rolling into the tournament. But that was when they were in the pack, and they were able to bloody everybody's nose and be somewhat undefeated or just a few defeats going into the tournament. What's happening to them here, playing Houston, playing Kansas twice? That's good. It's preparing them well for the tournament, and they could do better this year because of that.
Tested already.
Yes, they've had their nose bloodied a little.
Absolutely. So that's underway. It's exciting to see. And
how's Bobby Hurley and the ASU Sun Devils, by the way, Steve?
Well,
now that since we're throwing that around,
they won. They won the other night. Texas Tech.
Did they?
Yeah, they beat the team that Arizona couldn't beat at home.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
You know what? You know what that tells me?
Yeah.
Let's have a couple more years of Bobby Hurley.
Those are my favorite signs in Tucson. There's somebody that sits behind the broadcast booth that has a sign, and it's something like "Extend Bobby" or something like that. And it's like Arizona's not even playing ASU, and they still have that sign there, and stuff like that. No, trust me, they need it. Bobby Hurley needs to. I'll help him pack. I'll be on that moving service to help him back out there as well. But Arizona baseball is getting off to a tough start, but they are expected to have a rebuilding year. They kind of knew that going into it, and we'll just see where they end up at. But that ballpark is big.
Huge.
So, you can get some, if you can figure out some hitting, and ASU's just has to get some pitching to stand up this year to see what they can do. Arizona State's the one to me, though, that could go make a run and make it to a super regional and that type of a run, depending on their pairings. They were so close last year, and their starting pitching let them down, and they're coming in with higher hopes on that side.
I'd love to see it.
They could be the one team to watch, at least in Arizona, to kind of hit there coming up.
When I was growing up, USC with Devereaux, ASU with Brock, I think was the coach's name. Yeah. I mean, they were there at Mississippi State with those damn cowbells. They were there every year, and it was when the ballpark was at Rosenblatt, and ASU would win 17-15.
Yeah.
But they were great teams, and if you were from Nebraska, the only thing you thought of when you heard Arizona was ASU.
Right.
Really,
it's still that way.
No, I don't think it is. But what I will say is that the Pac-10 or 12 or whatever, both Arizona, it's a better league with two healthy Arizona schools.
Yeah.
Right.
And right now we've got 2.5, almost 3 with Grand Canyon, because they're making leaps and bounds in every sport every year.
Their baseball program it's rebuilding this year.
And their basketball, excuse me.
Yeah, their baseball team, everything I read on that is that they know they're in a rebuild mode this year as well. So we'll see what happens. But they're expected to take a couple steps back, at least from what I've read. Don't go off of what I say on that out there. But Lou, anything else to add before we get into UFC getting back underway this week?
No, I hope we can go to a break, because if Kobe would span back a little bit, Steve brought Chick-fil-A in, and I'm looking forward to having a little nosh in between the commercial breaks.
I do have a sandwich I haven't eaten yet.
He does not share. Just so you know.
I was going to say I'll take the under 30 seconds in that.
I usually I stop, and then I usually eat it like while I'm driving in, or whatever. I'm safe about it.
Is Chick-fil-A open in the morning?
Yeah, it opens at 6.
And will they serve you a chicken sandwich?
It's on a biscuit, a nice warm biscuit. Yeah.
Interesting.
Today I just didn't feel like eating it coming out. I'm going to need it though, because I'm hitting a wall here. But then I got a yogurt parfait. That's the other thing I got.
So before we get into the serious stuff,
yes, sir.
Did I see you disparage my girl Ronda Rousey coming back?
Well, first of all, Rousey has claimed for a decade that when she would take a jab, she would lose her eyesight.
Oh, see, I don't know anything about that.
So now all of a sudden she's healthy, everything's changed, and they got this big.
claim.
It's a complete money grab.
Yes.
Gina Carano, who
Carano's her name. Thank you.
I'd love to have one of my sons date. She's pretty as a button.
Yeah.
She's got no shot against Rousey if Rousey's any kind of healthy whatsoever.
It's been 10 years since Rousey's fought.
Yes,
Did I read that?
Yes.
10 years.
Yeah, she's been away. She's had a child or two.
Yep. That was her excuse.
And I
to
got no
get out of
issue
the
with her,
WWE.
but she needs money. She's got so she's coming back, and they manicured this thing, and then Dana White's not doing it. And so the fact that Dana's not doing it, it's in the boxing realm, means they're going to actually really get paid. Because the boxing platform is everybody gets paid except for one entity. The promoter gets paid, the athletes get paid, the shoe shine boy gets paid, and the only one that don't get paid, the only one that gets abused is the fan that pays the money to see it, and they continue to come back and watch this garbage all the time.
You forgot the judges get paid?
Everybody
Don't forget
gets
that.
paid.
The judges get paid?
And who does the paying? The fan.
Before you get into the match that's going to be this week, or the match is, I did see Dana White get interviewed. Somebody was getting on him pretty hard about pay and things like that. Was that last week?
They should. He's going to come back with a foil. Oh, well, we just increased our fighter bonuses from 50,000 to 100,000, which is great. But it only goes to the few. It's totally selective. He decides who gets that money.
He doesn't have a committee just to kind of keep himself away from it?
No, he does. He's anti-committee. He's a strong leader, and he decides, and that's how it's going to be.
And that's where you get that awkwardness of after a fight, they'll beg him and they'll go over and talk to him, and it's
known.
so awkward.
It's known if you stand up there in the mic asking for the 50, you got no shot.
Yeah.
He doesn't like that because it comes off like they need the money. Well, they do need the money because the UFC, and I've said this for years, their greatest advantage over any other sports league and their greatest line item is the fact that they pay their athletes so little. There is no representation in the UFC. There is no union.
Yeah.
There's nothing. And so he can do as he wishes. And if I go to Dale, who's been a good earner for me for 7 years, but you make 30 to show up for a fight, 30 grand,
right,
and 30 if you win, and I want you to fight King Kong Bundy, and you say no, well, then I can shelve you for 6 months because you had the audacity to say no to me. You don't get to earn, and I'll take one of these kids I just brought in from the Contender Series who's so happy he'll fight for $3,000 and $3,000 because he's in the UFC and he wants to make a name, and he's going to show Dana what a company man he is. And so they use that Contender Series to bring cheap talent into the UFC to pressure the middle talent. And it's the middle talent from 10% to 85% that's getting squeezed because the top 15% do get their money.
Right.
But you got to have magnetism and lightning in a bottle. Yeah. And so it's hugely unfair to the athletes, but it is what it is.
It's the same thing that the NFL did there for a long time. The fact that your top 10%, your top 10%.
Yep.
It's the quarterbacks that are going to be making wide receivers your stars.
That's right.
And then you have your rookies. And what they did was they squeezed out the 5 to 10-year veterans. You'd rather have 3 rookies on the team than one backup offensive lineman or one backup
who's on his second contract making real money.
Yeah, and they squeeze them out. It's funny or crazy how that works.
At least the NFL has representation now, and there's levels. You've been here this long, you got to get paid this.
Yes.
They have parameters in place
and benefits and
yes,
and
yes, and there ain't no and in the UFC. Okay. It's do what I say and jump, and you say how I. Wow. That's how it is.
Wow.
So I tell you what, let's take our break. Come on back. We'll talk UFC and enough of that money grab. I agree. I tend to agree. I the disgust Lou has on Ronda Rousey coming back. But I kind of turned on her with her WWE stint and, how she kind of ruined that experience.
Well, Carano's just as guilty. I'm not just going to paint Ronda to be the
No, you're absolutely right. And then Netflix, May 16th. It's going to be like, what's his name that does those boxing things,
Jake Paul?
Yeah, and it's just all right, whatever, man. Take it seriously or don't. But anyway, we'll come back, talk the serious stuff out there. UFC Fight Night coming up this week. Toyota Center. Houston, Texas. Come and join us. We'll talk about it.
Welcome back to the main event. Steve's show. He's trying to get a little breakfast in him as he almost passed out on us during the break.
I don't know if I go that far.
And we don't want to do that. But before they go fight by fight, I have one question for you.
Yes, sir.
I seem to remember in years past when fights are held in different states, there's certain judging corporations
baby.
The associations that you trust more than others. What's it like in Texas?
As bad as it can be.
Is it really?
It's as bad as it gets.
Okay.
Jersey, Texas, Cali.
Really?
Oh, baby. Shenanigans with a capital shenan.
Okay.
Oh, man. Texas is the best. And so on this fight card, we've got 4 Texans.
Okay.
So we got to know who those guys are.
Right.
Better know who they are. But absolutely expect to see
some shenanigans.
Some kind of tomfoolery.
Okay. Well, why don't you take it right now and
Yes.
and take a couple fights that you are interested in.
Well, we have 14 fights on the card. There's of the 28 fighters, you probably got about 12 or so U.S. fighters. So there's a good amount of international players coming in for this thing. Again, it's in Texas. And just like when they go to England and they try and highlight English fighters and maybe give some opportune positioning or matchmaking to an English fighter to help export the brand in that foreign country, so too will they do that to an extent in the States. So we're in Texas, 4 Texans. Are any of the Texans matched up in favorable positions? Well, yeah, there's 2 of them that fight guys from Brazil. So the Brazil guys got to take a 5-6 hour flight, cut the weight, do everything that is involved with preparing for a fight with travel while the guys in Texas are sleeping in their own beds. That's clearly some advantage there. So we want to be aware of that. There's 4 fights where the age difference is 5 years or greater, and we know at 6 years youth advantage, that fighter, the youthful fighter, will win 62% of the fights. Okay. So we got to be aware of what the ages are. And that's what I track on my model here. What's their age? What's their height? What's their reach? Who've they been in with? How long is their UFC tenure? Because all of that together really goes into the system that I use that's highly arbitrary in deciding what fighter I want.
I lied. I got one more question because you brought up weigh-ins. And I know it was a week or 2 ago. You always watch weigh-ins and then you make final judgments. Did somebody weigh in and then pass out as they were getting off the scale?
Oh, okay. Yeah, there were 2 incidents. One kid, young man named Smotherman, you could see he was weak-kneed Willie getting on the scale, and you can tell when they're blinking and they're kind of shifting a little bit on the scale. And and he made weight. He gets off the scale, and it looked like he was walking in 2 foot of water because his feet were behind, and he just started doing this, and he literally bounced his forehead off of the canvas. He went straight down like a tree, and it held the weigh-ins up for a good 10 minutes, trying to get him revived and getting going again. These kids cut aggressive amounts of weight. It's not uncommon that they come out compromised, and that's exactly why I watched these weigh-ins. And here's another one that happened 2 weeks ago, and this kid's his nickname is the Hillman. His name is Muin Gafarov, a Tajikistan. He's a cheating. Weigh-ins a 2-hour window.
Yeah.
Okay, he needs to make 145 pounds. Excuse me, he needs to make 135, so they'll give him a pound to 136. 10 minutes after weigh-in start, he saunters out at 141. He's purely cheating. He's saying, hey, I know I'm fighting this kid that's taller and longer than me. He's dangerous. He's younger than me, and I better have an edge. So I'll gladly invest 20 or 25% of my purse, because that's what the penalty is.
Okay.
I'll gladly invest that in order to have great advantage over this guy, because the other kid, second fight in the UFC, and his choice should have been, I'm not fighting this cheater.
Right.
Well, the UFC's got Paramount now. They can't go with 15-minute hole in their broadcasting, so they're telling him, hey, boy, You're fighting.
Get out there.
So he's got pressure to fight. So he takes the fight. He gets some of the other guy's money.
A great
Meanwhile, the Tajikistani guy has got a 6-pound weight advantage. And not only does he have that advantage, but the other kid had to cut the weight to get down to make the weight.
He doesn't have the
like
physical.
a professional.
He doesn't have the
Who won the
physical
fight?
implications.
The other kid.
Yeah.
And
Did
it was
he?
justice
1
served, and I
second.
was all over Twitter
Okay,
with that
that's
one.
great. Okay.
1 second to go in the fight, too.
Yes,
Really?
he tapped
Yeah.
him out with 1 second to go. And then, of course, the cheater's like, no, I didn't tap. He's like, everybody saw you tap. Anyway, we need to fix some of the penalties in the UFC to create more detriment. Eye pokes is the other one. Weight misses is those are the big two.
I'm good.
Absolutely. So, that will take us into the first fights here on the prelims. Main card is 6 p.m. from the Toyota Center in Houston coming up this weekend. Prelims start at 3:15 is the first fight, but it goes live on Paramount Plus at 3 o'clock as well. We start with the women's fight here, flyweight. Lou, is this one of those take your go
Yes.
get your lunch, show up late type of a situation?
This is like who? The best thing about this Paramount thing is that they all start at 3. Then the other prelims are at 5, and then the main card starts at 6. Or I should say 3, 4, 6.
Yeah.
So that's uniform. We don't have to guess. And
Okay.
are they in Australia, and do I got to
Yeah,
watch
what
at 3 in the
time
morning? So
Yes.
that works itself out. These fight cards now are beginning to be populated at the bottom, these early prelims and prelims, with fighters that I don't believe belong in the UFC. And for that reason, I track everything about them, but I don't spend much time thinking about handicapping them if I don't know a lot about one or the other. And that's the case with a lot of these.
Is that happening because they want you pack more name guys in the upper levels for the Paramount Plus? The later versions of it, or is that just what they're
no,
trying
it's
to
they
weed
got
out some guys
700
out?
athletes
Yeah.
they got to try and find fights for. Meanwhile, you got good athletes. There's a handful of kids out at the MMA lab waiting for fights, haven't fought in 2 or 3 months, and they're ranked fighters. So to me, the solution is to take the bottom 200 of the UFC roster, just cut it, because they don't belong. And these two girls, Julie Miller and Carly Judice, they're Exhibit A, and they should be cut. And I'm not trying to be mean or condescending, but one's an 800 favorite over the other. Pass.
Yeah, it's a big number, 800 favorite. Well, that's why I leave the prelims to you. I mean, there's
Right.
no, the next one there, right? Jordan Levitt and Diwali.
That one I want to talk about because that's going to be
favorite.
You got one guy, Devalle, is a favorite. Now he fights in Houston now, but he's a Cuban and he's primarily a grappler. Jordan Levitt, the Monkey King, he's probably the oddest, quirkiest, most unique dude you'll ever see. If you saw him, he looks like a painter, not a UFC fighter. And he's quirky and odd, awkward, personality-wise. But he's a deft submission artist. And so you've got 2 grapplers in this fight. And so that's when everybody's going to go make their sandwiches, because in this Paramount age, they're paying for violence and blood and knockouts and guys quivering on the canvas. What you're going to have here between these 2 guys is a somersault match, because they're going to be grappling and pressing each other against the fence. One guy's going for a leg, the other guy's going to go for an arm. And so most fans, especially in this new era of Paramount that want to see punching and knockouts, are going to be totally disappointed with this fight. However, a guy like me, I can't wait to watch this fight, because these guys are both really, really talented grapplers. And Shirley Devalle in his second UFC fight, and his first UFC fight was against a guy named Dolgarian, who is now out of the UFC because they feel he fixed that fight. And the FBI is looking at him now. And so Devalle opened 600. Now he's minus 400.
Minus 440.
Yeah, now he's minus 440 because people are thinking, well, maybe he got lucky in that first fight because the other kid threw it and he can't fight. Oh, no. No. This is going to be a really good fight. And if you want to see grappling and submission game, both guys are submission artists. That's going to be a great fight.
Interesting enough, for a grappling fight, over-under is only set at 1.5 right now, minus 145 to the over. somebody can. So that's going to be obviously they're looking at a submittal. At some
Somebody
point
going
in
to
this.
submit somebody, and the other component to this is that Levitt has primarily been a lightweight fighter, 155. This fight's going to be at 145. So if Levitt shows up 5 minutes into weigh-ins and weighs in great and everything, I'd be pretty interested in him.
Okay.
If he waits until the last 10 minutes and is weak-kneed Willie on the scale and he's having a hard time making the weight, then maybe I step back. But I will say this: I'm high on this Del Valle guy based on his first fight. I don't believe that fight was thrown. I think it's possible Delgarian could have had an injury of some form. But let me tell you this: 100% of UFC fighters in a fight on a Saturday are hurt in some way, shape, or form.
Right.
Just like in your sport in the NFL. Everybody's hiding some kind of boo-boo or ding or something.
Before you go any further, that guy who passed out after the weigh-in,
Yes.
did the fight go on, or did they cancel the fight?
No, they had to cancel
Okay,
that
all right,
fight.
okay.
Even Texas or these dubious state commissions can't let that go on.
All right, just curious.
Well, that's a
not
good follow-up
look.
question.
Yeah, not a good look on
So
that.
other fight.
So tell us on the prelims because I don't want to go
Phil
through
Rose.
it. Yeah.
Phil Rose got a guy named Leon Oinye, and it's a short notice fighter. Turn the page. I'm not interested.
So the short notice guy is the favorite going into this.
Yeah,
huh?
he is.
Minus 198 on DraftKings right now.
Yeah, and that's because he's 9 years the younger man.
Was Rowe the favorite going into that fight before the substitution?
I don't know.
Curious. Okay, I was just curious on if they try to find the same type of a thing.
No,
or if
they just try.
whoever.
They just try and find some warm body can go in and save their fight for him. But Rowe's going to be 4 inches the taller man. He's 9 years older, and he has an 8-inch reach advantage. Rowe is not out of this fight. I would say Rowe could be live. Then there's a welterweight fight: Soriano and a guy named Brahimaj. Brahimaj fights out of Texas. Soriano is a Hawaiian. Here's what we know about Hawaiians. You can hit them right across the temple with a baseball bat as hard as you can. They won't even blink. They take shots great. They grow up fighting, and they're tough as nails. And so this fight between these two should be an awesome fight. With a Texan that's won his last 4 going against Soriano, that's a fight you want to watch because there'll be some action. It'll be the opposite of what
the first
Levitt and DeValle give you.
Over unders 2.5 on that. Minus 180 to the under for that fight right now.
Yeah,
and,
somebody.
The B guy.
Somebody's going to catch the other guy there.
It's minus 120.
And I don't know that I'm afraid of Soriano here. I kind of like Soriano a little bit.
Yeah, interesting on that. The welterweight fight for those guys. Then another women's fight here in the bantamweight. Cornell and Edwards, same type of a situation.
Cannoli is from France, and she's not good.
Oui.
She is not good. Edwards is from Panama, and she's not very good. That's a fight and it's a rematch of a fight that Cornoli won via decision, which is stunning. Edwards is a big favorite, and Edwards should win the fight.
Yeah, she's 325. Most likely going to the decision. Nobody's got knockout power in this one.
No, Edwards does, but who
That's
knows?
why I was
Who
asking,
knows?
I didn't know. Yeah,
women's fights go over.
Yeah, Coria and Gurel.
His name's Louis. That's all I got to say. Pass, and then Adiris and Osborne.
Yep.
Those are both 125-pound fights. It's like watching two flies in a barrel fight. You know, they're just moving around, and they're little guys, and we're in a big cage.
Yeah.
So those fights I won't even I'll watch. I'll make my notes. But these are fighters that I would think Garuli's going to lose this fight to Coria, and he's out. So,
so one of those fights. Over under on that one's 1.5, by the way. Minus 210 to the over here for that, just so that Osborne, because it is two small guys in that big cage. So
well,
they have a lot of
Osborne
room
and
to run around.
Adiris, that's a different fight, and that's where one is
I'm
probably going to
sorry.
get.
I was looking at the wrong one. You're absolutely
That's
right.
okay, but that one will get knocked out there. Osborne's got some flash, but he's chinny, and Adiris I just don't know enough about, so that'll be a due diligence fight for me. So we get to the last fight on the prelims, and I just can't wait to watch this fight. This fight is going to be killer. you got a complete crazoid named Carlos Leal. He fights out of the Fighting Nerds. And he's from Brazil. He's shipping up to fight.
Fighting Nerds?
The Fighting Nerds.
Okay.
It's a team of guys, and they wear glasses and they have tape here. And they're killers. But they look nerdy and everything. And one guy's a barker. All he does is bark. They're complete insane men and women. But it's a great team. They're primarily strikers. Leal in his last fight was a minus 400 favorite, and he couldn't wait to go get to this 42-year-old Russian named Salikov and knock him out. And he ran right in there, and Salikov hit him right in the chin and knocked him cold as a nail. And that was the end of that fight. A minute and a half into the fight, Leal's quivering on the ground. So now he comes back, traveling to Texas. Who's he fighting?
Yeah,
Chidi Njokuani. Njokuani obviously is an African name, but he's been fighting out of Fortis MMA in Dallas, Texas for some years. So Chidi is going to stand 4 inches taller, and he's going to have a 6-inch reach advantage over Leal. But Chidi's 37, and the thing with Chidi is for 6 minutes, he's a top 10 athlete in the division. But if you're there for 6 minutes and you're not going anywhere and you're determined and you're tough and you're durable, then Chidi going to shell up on you after 6 minutes. He's very much a front-running fighter. And so the total in this one, 1.5 under what?
Minus 160 for the under.
For the under. Somebody going out on this fight, okay? And I think it's Leal. I think this is a situation where Chidi's getting a manicured opponent that fits him because Chidi's taller, longer, has that power, and Leal going to come right after him because he has the IQ of a box of hammers. And that's typical for many Brazilians. Excuse me for saying that, but a lot of the Brazilians can stand some IQ enlightenment.
So you think Leal's going to be the one that goes down because he's a 130 favorite right now.
Yeah, yes, he is, but Leal opened as a 260 favorite. So the money has been just vomiting in on Njokuani, and part of it's mine. So there you have it. I think this is gonna be 6 minutes. That's what the total seems to think.
Yeah.
And if you're in 6 minutes, you're in Chidi's wheelhouse. And I'm telling you, for 6 minutes, the dude's a beast. So I think that's what we're going to see. So I can't wait to watch that fight. Then we get to the main card.
Absolutely. Let's get right into it. Zach Reese and Michael. That's probably Michelle.
Michelle Pereira.
Yeah, Pereira.
Okay, here's another Texan versus Brazilian. So Reese is the Texan. He's going to be 3 inches taller. They're about the same age. He's going to have a 4-inch reach advantage. Fights out of Texas, primarily a striker. And more than anything, he's a guy that I think has done it with smoke and mirrors. I don't believe in him at all. And in Michel Pereira, he is a Brazilian now. He doesn't have to travel from Brazil because he trains now at Extreme Couture in Las Vegas. And he trains with Strickland, another complete madman. We'll talk about him eventually. And so this Pereira is like the Tasmanian devil. He's 170 pounds. He'll be 185 they're 185 pounders. He'll be 202 when he hits the cage. He's shorter, more compact, much more athletic. He's violent as he can be, but IQ he makes questionable decisions. And so you're going to have Reese that's going to want to kind of keep distance and measure Pereira as Pereira comes in to attack. And Pereira is going to come in and attack, and I think Pereira gonna beat the bejeebies out of Reese is what I think. He's about 100 minus 148.
155 right now. Yeah.
So that's a fight that again you want to watch because it should be blood and action.
Over under is 1.5 minus 135 to the under. By the way, also.
Yeah,
so
I
they're
think
saying
Pereira going to get him.
For that, that's the first. So 2 big battles here, right? End of the prelims. Right into the main events, 2 fights you don't want to miss for the action that's going to happen there. Then we got Jacoby Smith and Josiah Harrell here battling it out in the welterweights.
Yeah, Josiah Harrell was out of the UFC for some time. He just comes back because Jacoby Smith lost his original partner, who I forget who it was. and it's not a fight that I've handicapped or even looked at very much. So we'll go to the next.
Spivak and Delija.
Yeah, now this is heavyweight. So Sergey Spivak is a
Big boys.
Moldovan fighter, and his nickname's the Polar Bear. His nickname should be Evolution because the only thing faster than Spivak is Evolution. That's how slow he is. He's primarily a grappler. They call him the Polar Bear, which is appropriate because he lumbers in and he's got to get a hold of you to get advantage. Should he be able to come in and get to Delija and get him to the ground, he's going to have every chance to win this fight. And he's lost his last 3. He struggles against athletic guys that can strike. Well, Delija is an athletic guy that can strike. And while Spivak usually tips the scales at 240, Delija comes in about 255 or so. So he's big, he's athletic, and he's coming in off a loss that should have been a DQ that he shouldn't have lost on. And he's got a chip. And so this should be a really interesting fight where we have differing styles, a grappler against a striker. But I just think Delija is got too much athleticism, and I think he's got too much power. And we're going to see the Polar Bear get curled up.
Put this back to hibernation.
I think so.
Something like
yes,
that.
Exactly.
Right now, Delija is a 148 favorite. Interesting enough, we're seeing a lot of 1.5 over, roundage here. 1.5 under 1.5 is at minus 140 right now as well for that fight.
7 of our 14 fights are taking place at 170 pounds or more. And that's why we're seeing some 1.5 because you're getting power guys, and these 2 heavyweights. At least Delija has power, and Spivak, if he gets him on the ground, will take an arm or a leg or a neck and find a way to choke him out. So, a Moldovan fighter against a Croatian fighter. Nothing turns me on more than getting 2 different kinds of people with body types from 2 different parts of the world to go in there and compete. I just love that, and so. That leaves us with the co-main and the main.
And these are going to be some big fights,
They're
right?
going to be great fights.
Dan Igi and Costa battling it out
I'll give
here
you
in the
one
featherweight.
more time. It is an Igi and it is an Ig.
What is it?
It's Ige.
See,
There
I
we
knew it
go.
was
It's
something
like
that.
IGEA. Anyway, Dan
That's not how it's
Ige.
spelled, Lou.
Dan Ige is a gristled veteran of the UFC that always gets overlooked. He's a little short, compact in stature. And he's fighting this guy from Brazil, Melky, I'll call him because for not being able to pronounce
Smart, very
Ezequiel
smart. Yeah.
Costa.
I call him Costa.
Yes, and Costa is a well-rounded fighter. He's got submission ability and he's got striking, but he gets excited. He doesn't have the experience that Ige has. He hasn't been in with the kind of player Ige's been in with. And the only Ige losses are to guys that are in like the top 5 or 6 of the division. And yet Melky is the one that's favored because he's a little taller, he's a little younger, he's 5 years younger, and he's a lefty. But what Melky can't control is his willingness to get wild. And as soon as he does that, Ige, the more compact, refined power striker, is going to step in and find him. I like Ige in this fight, and he's a dog.
He's a big plus 170 right now for him as well. This probably going to go to decision as a featherweight.
You see
power here?
2.5 shaded over to the minus 230 or so.
Minus 288 right now. Though it's moving.
Are you looking at DraftKings?
DraftKings, yeah.
Look at the 3.5 points with Ige.
Oh,
What's
3.5 is minus 180.
Yeah, so they don't want you to take Ige with the 3.5 points
saying, yeah.
because they know it's going to decision. It's probably going to be a really close decision at that. So when they don't want you to do something, I've always learned the hard way. They say, hey, Louie, don't put your hand on that burner. It's red and it's hot. Well, I had to find out for myself.
Yeah.
And so I'll find a way to be involved with Ige in this fight.
Perfect. From that perspective, then you got the main event here as well. Actually, we have Jeff Neal and Medic also I see on this listing here.
Oh, yeah, I skipped over. That's a
know-
great fight. That
I don't know where
shouldn't
they're
have
fighting on there. Yeah, they're on this list. Yeah, it just popped up here. I'm working kind of weird today because my laptop won't charge here for some reason.
Actually,
so I'm using 2 different screens.
Neal and Medic may be the co-main event, but no
yeah.
matter what event it is, this is another good one you want to watch because these guys are 170 pounders, both strikers, both dangerous, both finishers, both just outside the top 15, really. Neal has been very uneven in his performances, and it just came out before this fight that he's gotten sober. So he's 35 years old. In the last 5 years, the prime of his career, he's been addicted or battling addiction.
Yeah.
And that's not uncommon for fighters. And so whether it's just alcohol or alcohol plus doesn't really matter to me, but he's sober for this fight. And most of the public saying, oh, my God, he's got power, he's athletic. If he's sober, he's going to be killer. Whoa. In John Jones' prime, what drives John Jones and many fighters is their ability to break rules. If I had ever caught wind that John Jones was not out at 2 a.m. and he wasn't packing his beak,
more focused, yeah.
And if he was just being a good guy and he quit all the extracurriculars, I would have never bet him ever again. Because sometimes when you take that edge from a guy, you take his spirit. And I don't know if that's the case with Neal, but I know this. I've watched fights for 50 years, and sometimes that first fight back after a guy turns sober doesn't go like we think it's going to go. For that reason, this Uros Medic, who's a Serbian fighter, but he fights out of Alaska, and the first tell is, oh, you fight out of Alaska? Fade him. It's as simple as that. If you fight out of Alaska, take the other guy, you're going to win. But Medic has evolved. He's got some power. These two are going to go after it, and they're going to throw down. I think Medic could be live here. He's an underdog.
Explain that. I mean, well, why? Alaska. It's cold.
I don't know.
Really?
I don't know, but if they fight, it's probably because nobody lives there and there's not a lot of fighters up there, and so the competition pool is shallow.
Okay.
That would be my educated response.
He's plus 180. Medic is right now plus 180 going to this over-under, 1.5 again, minus 195 to the under for this fight.
Yeah,
also,
right where it opened. So this fight hasn't seen a lot of line movement, but it'll be a great fight. And the winner will get propelled up into maybe 15 or 14, and the loser will have to go back to work.
It is interesting you said that about getting clean and all that, is because I actually believe in that. If you fight one way and you have success, or do anything in life one way with success, like a painter, if you're medicated as a painter and you have all the success, well, you get off all that stuff and all of a sudden your stuff's not as good as anymore. So I'm a big believer in that.
I think there can be reaction time, and for again, it's like you're cheating, and I've lived hard and fast. I've been out late at night, and I know that if you were to have taken that away from me, you would have taken some of who I am away from me to an extent, and I think that's how I view this.
Well, my thing that I question here is when you're under substances, you get hit a certain way, it feels a certain way. Then when you're not on something and you get hit a certain way, it might actually hurt, and you might not like it.
Yeah,
That's
knows?
what I would worry about.
In my experience, the short-term effect isn't the same as what the long-term effect might be.
Okay. And then you got the main event here. This is going to be a doozy here with Strickland. You got Sean Strickland and Anthony Hernandez.
Yeah, go to YouTube and just put in Sean Strickland Media Day, and you can listen to some of the stuff he talks about. He is the most politically incorrect dude you'll ever see in your life.
That is the most politically way you could have put that.
Oh my God, he is the king of cringe.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes and he goes and he goes. And so before we handicap the fight, we have to understand that, like in Australia, they were on the beach or something, and some guy came up to him yapping and said, "Come on, you can hit me." So Strickland hit him and hurt him, and there was a to-do. And so I fully believe that the UFC views Strickland as a wild card and a potential damaging influence to their brand. And so if that's who you are, you better be really, really good, or things may not fall your way, if you know where I'm kind of going with this. Now, as far as the fight game is concerned, Strickland is a dude that's a pure fighter. He fights 100% at all times in the gym against Michelle Pereira, who's in his camp. There's film of those two guys just beating the brakes off each other a couple weeks ago. I mean, Strickland knows no other way. He never gets tired. He's got great striking, and he's got underrated wrestling. His opponent's a guy named Anthony Hernandez. They call him Fluffy, but don't let Fluffy fool you. This dude's a killer, and he's primarily a submission guy, BJJ. So his stand-up is only tailored enough for him to get in close to you, push you against the fence, grab hold, find a way to trip you, take you down, and then he's choking you out. Simple as that. That's how he wins his fights. He does not get tired. So you have a submission guy that's going right after a striking guy, and the striking guy is going right after the submission guy. Neither guy gets tired. What's going to happen in this fight? I'll tell you what's going to happen. If Hernandez can get Strickland down, he's going to own advantage, and it may not go great for Strickland. If Strickland can keep this fight on the feet, Strickland's going to have advantage. If you look at the price on this fight right now, this fight opened Hernandez minus 250. What's he? 280.
278.
So he's 280 now. Okay, Strickland opened 210. He's 235. 240.
225.
The total is 4.5 shaded over.
A minus 180 to the over.
Yeah, this is going to be a decision fight, and I think that the line is disrespectful to Strickland. The issue is that this is Texas, and you can have some funny stuff happen in Texas. The UFC, I don't think, is Strickland's best friends, so there's some nebulous outside impetus that may make it hard for Strickland to win a really close decision, I think. They want Fluffy to advance here. They don't need and don't want Strickland. Again, YouTube his interviews, and you'll understand why immediately. He can't help himself. But that being said, on DraftKings currently, for a fight that's lined 4.5 over minus 180, the points handicap is 9.5. Strickland's getting 9.
Just to be clear, 8.5 right now.
Okay, that just changed this morning because I bet it.
I apologize, 9.5. Old man eyes. I'm sorry, Lou. There you go.
The points handicap is 9.5. This is a 5-round fight.
Right.
So if Fluffy comes out and just dominates Strickland, and I don't think that's going to happen, but if he did, and he won 4 rounds and Strickland only won 1, that would be 48-45 on 3 cards. What's that a total of? 9. I'm getting Strickland in 9.5. So in order to win that fight, Fluffy's either going to have to win every round, and I don't think that happens, or he's going to have to submit him or stop him, and that could happen. I don't think it's going to happen. So I released this morning on Twitter, you'll see a Strickland plus 9.5 minus 125. That's my bet on this main event.
Yeah,
I think it goes to decision. It's going to be much closer than people think. Yeah. Strickland is a madman, and Strickland come out with a photo of him in an ice uniform and Fluffy Hernandez with a sombrero on, and that pissed Fluffy Hernandez off. So I'm telling you, we're going to have this is going to be a great fight to watch because these guys are going to want to kill each other.
I just like how you phrase it. He's the most politically incorrect guy, and I've never heard anybody phrase it that way. But yeah, he said, that's my question. I just assumed he was just doing that to get on people's side.
Oh no, that's really just who he is. That's who he is.
But you're right, though. I mean, a lot of guys that do that talk and then they don't fight well, and Strickland does. So that'll be interesting to see on this fight.
We'll see how he does. One. And many people will point to his most recent fight about a year ago where he fought Dricus du Plessis after he lost the title to du Plessis. Strickland had a badly damaged shoulder, and I just found that out a few days ago. James Lynch told me about that. Contrary to what this little punk-ass Vinicius Oliveira did to Bautista last week. Oh, I had a broken arm. He had all these excuses. After flapping all week. I'm flap. Oh, I had this. That is such Bush League. Every fighter that steps into the cage has something. but Strickland never disclosed it.
Right.
That's the kind of dude this dude is. He's a man, and he's a fighter, and he's authentic, but he's a whack job. And so it should be a great fight.
I would think that'd be right up the UFC's alley. They'd love that.
Yeah, but he's detrimental. I mean, there's another UFC fighter that his name is Khamzat Chimaev, and he is friends with a dictator that's not friendly with the United States, and Strickland's calling him a communist. And I mean, nothing telling women shouldn't be fighting in the UFC. The fights are terrible. They should be home having babies and making dinner. I mean, he can insult anyone that you want to talk about. He'll insult them for you.
Yeah, Lou did put out. That's why you got to follow him on Twitter earlier. And it's funny, with my old eyes, I still see 8.5 here on your printed Twitter as well. But this morning, 7:42, you put that out there, and somebody responded and said they just played that on Follow the Money. Also, your clip on that.
I was on the Follow the Money
so.
First Strike show earlier this week, and I talked about that approach.
So that's why you follow Lou, everybody out there. And like I said, even if you don't gamble it, you have something to talk about to those UFC people at the office or out at dinner with your friends, and they get all knowledgeable. Hit them with that one.
You can bring it up to your wife.
On
hey,
the
honey.
Strickland fight.
You know about Strickland?
Here, listen to this guy. He can speak for me better than I can.
Oh, Lord. Lots of trouble there. Lou, appreciate it as always.
Hey, thank you, guys.
We'll see you next week here as well. We'll, of course, recap this. We'll be here.
Okay.
Next week, last day here at this place, as of now, unless something crazy happens.
All righty.
Coming up here as well. And then, of course, we'll look forward to another UFC fight as we got that break in, because after that, they go to Mexico
City, and now we're going to be dealing with some unbelievable altitude, a bit higher than Denver.
Yes.
So that due diligence component, the difference is for me to try and find out who went out there that is away from Mexico City 2 weeks in advance.
Right.
Because it ain't 4 days or 5 days.
Right.
No matter what people think. Oh, we fly into Denver 4 days and we're fine. No, it isn't that. My fight guys tell me it's 10 days to acclimate to altitude. Mm-hmm. So we'll find out which of the fighters have the wherewithal or the money or both to get there early to make their camp.
Hotels aren't cheap, right, for your whole camp out there.
That's right.
After the weigh-ins on Friday morning, check out. I'll put the Bout a Business podcast up as well, gamblu.com, or anywhere you find your podcast. Check that out as well. And Lou, we'll see you next week. Going to be a fun weekend.
Thanks for sitting in, Dale.
You got it.
For everybody else, McCollum on Business coming up today. Pit Stop will be posted today as well, about 2 o'clock. So check those out also here coming up today. And we'll see you tomorrow morning, everybody. The main event, 8 o'clock tomorrow, Friday.